Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti alla seconda giornata dell'evento dedicato alle sinergie e complementarietà del programma Interreg Italia-Slovenia. Torej, spoštovane gospece in gospodje, dragi gostje, dragi udeleženci vsi, dobrodošli na drugem dnevu dogodka posvečenega sinergijam in komplementarnostim programa Interreg Italia-Slovenija oziroma Slovenija. Tu mešam jezike, včasih zgrešim tudi jaz. Hello everybody, welcome dear guests, dear friends, welcome to the second day of our event dedicated to the synergies and complementarities of the Interreg Italy-Slovenia program. E ritorno a salutare anche coloro che ci stanno seguendo dal mondo di internet grazie al nostro collegamento in streaming. In ponovno pozdravljam tudi tiste, ki nas spremljajo prek neposrednega prenosa na spletu. And so we would like also to welcome back those watching us via live stream in internet. Če bi se radi pridružili, najdete povezavo na spletni strani programma Interreg Slovenia Italia. Se vorreste appunto collegarvi o collegare altre, far sì che si colleghino altre persone, trovate il link sulla pagina web del programma, ovvero del progetto Interreg Italia-Slovenia. If you would like to join us online, you can find the link on the website of the program Interreg Italy-Slovenia. Ieri è stata una bellissima giornata, vero? Per coloro che sono stati con noi sono sicuro che siete entusiasti quanto il sottoscritto, una giornata ricca di contenuti, esempi concreti e scambi tra progetti e programmi, e oggi quindi si guarda al futuro. Ma io intanto guardo e vedo questa foto, siamo noi e siete voi, bellissimi come non mai, meglio di una foto del periodo di scuola, siete d'accordo con me? Lo facciamo un applauso a questa foto, dai forza, to je posnetek iz včerajšnjega dogodka. Še lepši kot v šolskem obdobju, so nice pictures from yesterday's event, even better than the pictures during our school time and period, you know? E oggi sarà una giornata altrettanto ricca, una giornata dedicata alla riflessione condivisa su ciò che verrà dopo il 2027, il ruolo dell'Interreg nel rafforzare la coesione, le nuove priorità strategiche e le opportunità di collaborazione tra i programmi. Tako da danes se nam obeta še en zanimiv dan namenjen razmisleku o tem, kakšna bo naslednja generacija programa Interreg po letu 2027, ter kako lahko še dodatno okrepimo teritorijalno sodelovanje. So today we turn our focus on the future. This day is dedicated to reflecting on the next generation of Interreg beyond 2027, exploring how it can further strengthen territorial cooperation and cohesion. Apriremo quindi con una tavola rotonda sulla prossima generazione dell'Interreg, esplorando visioni, strumenti e meccanismi di coordinamento tra programmi, con uno sguardo particolare alle sinergie ed al coinvolgimento dei giovani. Začeli bomo torej z okroglo mizo o prihodnosti Interrega, kjer bomo naslovili strateške cilje, nove značilnosti programov ter pomen medprogramskega sodelovanja in vključevanja mladih. Ja, tudi mlade bomo danes gostili na tem odru. We will begin with a roundtable on the future of Interreg, addressing strategic objectives, new program features, coordination mechanism, and the importance of youth involvement. We will have also some young people on the stage during the second part of the day. E sì, perché nel corso della giornata oggi celebreremo anche risultati concreti, come ad esempio il concorso Students for Cooperation, e daremo spazio al confronto attivo attraverso workshop paralleli pensati per stimolare nuove idee e future kollaboracioni. In torej, kot ste že slišali, bomo tudi predstavili konkretne rezultate, na primer podelitev nagrad natečaja Student for Cooperation ter dan zaključili z interaktivnimi delavnicami, ki so namenjene oblikovanju novih strategij in prihodnih projektov. So, throughout the day, we will also highlight concrete achievements, including the Students for Cooperation Award ceremony, and we conclude with interactive workshops designed to foster new synergies and future project ideas. E allora quindi vi auguro una buona e proficua giornata. Grazie per essere con noi. Torej vam želim, da bi bil ta dan prijeten, tako kot je bil včerajšnji. Thank you for being with us. We wish you a productive and inspiring day. Da qui in poi passiamo alla traduzione simultanea con l'utilizzo delle cuffie. Od tu dalje vas vabim, da uporabite slušalke za simultano tolmačenje oziroma prevajanje. From now on, I suggest you to use the headphones for the simultaneous translation. E quindi iniziamo ufficialmente l'evento, perché al primo punto del nostro programma c'è la tavola rotonda dal titolo La prossima generazione Interreg per rafforzare la coesione, che però inizia con una presentazione singola. Infatti, let's start by handing the microphone over to Simona Pohlová from European Commission, DG Regio Interreg Cross-Border Cooperation, Internal Borders Units D2. Thanks for your applause. And welcome again, Mrs. Simona Pohlová.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you and very nice good morning, buongiorno, dobar dan to everybody. So here I am, and today we have the pleasure to discuss the exciting future of Interreg. Thank you for inviting me to introduce the topic. I will have a presentation, and I'm just a little warning from the beginning that some of you may have seen parts of this presentation because we had a presentation some time ago to all managing authorities of Interreg programs. So some slides will be familiar to you probably, but I believe that there is no harm to repeat. Because things will maybe settle better, and I believe that it is important to have some sort of a common base and understanding. So let's get on with it. I will see. So what am I going to speak about today? First of all, I would like to remind what is the legal framework that we are talking about for the future Interreg. Because if something changes for the future, it is the architecture of the legal framework. So in the next, for the programming period 2028-2034, which is that we are speaking about, we have three building blocks of legislation. First of all, we have regulations that are horizontal, so they are applying across the board for the multi-annual financial framework, meaning the European budget. It is the MFF regulation, which is setting up, simply say, the budget as such, the different chapters of the European budget. Then we have the performance regulation. This is new, and it is a regulation that sets common rules on the way how the budget will be mainly monitored, and how we will assess whether it is if the funding is delivering what it promised to deliver. So that's why it is called performance regulation. It contains the intervention codes, it contains the suggested output indicators and result indicators, and those will apply across the EU funds, including for Interreg. Then we have a regulation which simply we say the plan regulation. We speak about the national or regional partnership plans. This is the main novelty for the future MFF, so the multi-annual financial framework. It is the idea that we put together all the different funds that are today separate, that have separate programs, and there will be one partnership plan per member state, meaning that the EU will put together the funds belonging to cohesion policy, funds on the maritime and fisheries funds, agriculture funds, and also the home funds. All of those will be under one roof, under this big partnership plan on the level of a member state. And the third pillar, or the third set of rules, are the fund-specific rules. So we will have, after some discussions, we will have at the end regulations per funds, meaning that we have an cohesion social fund, we have the common market, we have the agricultural funds regulation, home affairs, and we also have the ERDF cohesion fund regulation, which covers as well the provisions for Interreg. So now a small word about where we are in the discussions of this legal framework that was suggested by the Commission last July. So July 2025, the Commission published draft proposals for all these regulations, and since then the two co-legislators, the Council and the Parliament, with a different pace, started to work. So indeed, the pace is much more accelerated for the Council. So the Member States started to work in the working parties for Interreg, meaning the ERDF Cohesion Fund regulation. It is the Structural Measures and Outermost Regions Working Party, so the working party that is basically continuing from the current setup. There were several meetings already, many discussions or several discussions about Interreg. We are also with the second draft amendment or a second draft legal proposal for the ERDF Cohesion Fund regulation, which is being discussed among the member states. And we hear from the Cypriot presidency that they have the ambition to present a council position on this regulation by the end of their presidency, which means by the end of June 2026. And we also know that there is progress on the discussions about the plan regulation and the performance regulation in the other working parties of the Council that are dealing with those regulations. Then things look different for the European Parliament. The European Parliament was not very positive about the draft proposal by the Commission, let's put it this way. They took quite a while to figure out in which constellations they will examine the draft legal framework. And their planning is delayed in comparison to the planning of the Council. So they had a very first meeting in December last year on the ERDF Cohesion Fund regulation, and they only plan to have a plenary vote of the NRPP regulation at the end of this year, and on the ERDF Cohesion Fund regulation, they only plan to have a vote, a plenary vote in March the next year, which of course makes the whole framework, the discussions about the whole framework quite delayed, because it is only from the moment when the Parliament adopts their opinion that the trilogues can start, meaning that the Council, the Commission and the Parliament sit together and really discuss and draft together the future texts. We would have hoped that everything could be concluded by the end of this year. That was our sincere planning. For the time being, it doesn't seem that this is realistic. Now, let's go to the main features proposed in the draft rules. As I said, we are aware of the fact that there is a number of changing elements in terms of the future rules for Interreg. The legal architecture is one of them. At the same time, we are strongly convinced that there are a huge number of elements which are continuity, which represent continuity. I have put them on the slides, you can see them. So we are very proud and very happy that Interreg funding has not been reduced. It's the opposite. It's been increased. We have 10.2 billion euros for proposed for Interreg. We are keeping the strands architecture, so the 4 strands of Interreg. We suggest that they continue. We continue with the Interreg authorities, so the managing authorities, joint secretariats, audit authorities, all these building blocks of governance of Interreg are going to continue. The co-financing approach, again, is more or less the same. We have 80% of the EU part and 20% for the member states part or national part. It will be, there is a bit of shift of the terminology, but the principle remains the same. We suggest continuation of the flat rate architecture for the technical assistance, so the flat rate as part of the funding that is being for the priority access. So again, this is a continuation of the current approach. External borders, so the current next programs and IPA programs, again are going to be integrated in Interreg, even stronger than before. We count them fully as part of the Interreg family. We intend to continue with the audit approach, so the single audit sampling, and also the Peace Plus program continues. Here we are as what happens with the thematic, with the themes that Interreg or areas that Interreg will be asked to contribute to on the European level. Well, important to mention that, of course, Interreg remains in the family of cohesion policy, so it has to deliver on what future cohesion policy has to deliver. There are policy objectives that Interreg will be supposed to deliver, meaning the classic cohesion policy objective, and also the objectives of the European Social Fund. On this slide, it's the boxes A and B, and this is also a continuity because already today Interreg can support ESF related themes. Under the specific objective, there are 16 relevant specific objectives for Interreg, plus Interreg specific objectives. So here again, this is something that you know that already today Interreg supports better cooperation governance and safer and more secure Europe specific objectives. To this, we are adding one specific objective on resilience on the borders with Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. What is changing, though, is the flexibility that all cohesion policy will have in terms of supporting the different themes. We don't have anymore the thematic concentration rule that we used to have, or we are not proposing it. The idea of the whole structure is that it is as much flexible as possible and that it reflects the needs, the genuine needs of Interreg territories, because Interreg remains a territorial instrument, something which has to reflect the needs and potentials of the territories. What is the relation between the NRPP regulation and the ERDF regulation? Well, it is a bit similar to what we have now for the Common Provisions Regulation and Interreg and ERDF regulation. The provisions in the NRP regulation apply unless there are specific provisions in the ERDF Cohesion Fund. So it's more or less the hierarchy is that NRPP provisions, and if there are specific provisions for Interreg, those can be found in the ERDF Cohesion Fund regulation. What is another big novelty, and I hope that you have all heard about this, is the Interreg plan. So Interreg will not be part of the national approach through the national regional partnership plans, but we will have our own Interreg plan, which is a 28th plan. And in this plan will be, in the legal form, it will be an implementing act. That's the proposal. And the proposal is that the provisions that currently are in the Interreg regulation, or some of them, those that we believe are the most essential, and though that you don't find currently in the ERDF regulation, that they are projected in the implementing act or the Interreg plan. What is also important to say is that indeed Interreg is part of cohesion policy, meaning that it has to respect all the new features proposed for cohesion policy, namely the performance-based approach. Also, the reform dimension. You are probably aware that the idea of the Commission is very much that all the funding has to be objectives-oriented, meaning that with all the funds, we should know very well from the start what is it that we are going to achieve. And this is the shift, in a way, in the mindset, or shift in the paradigm, that it is not that that we launch a call and that we don't know what is going to come out. The partnership principle continues to apply. Once again, it is important that all programs respect the partnership principle. I think that this is something which is part of the DNA, again, of Interreg, because in our monitoring committees, in our programming committees, we have representatives of all the layers of governance. Of course, it is important, again, to involve the other partners, socio-economic partners, civil society, representatives of the citizens and stakeholders. A short reminder about the financial framework. I have already said about the technical assistance. It will be the flat rate. We propose 8%, 10% for external borders and outermost regions. The automatic decommitment rules is suggested to be N+1. This is a reduction in relation to today. Today we have the N+3. The idea is that with the performance-based approach, it will be possible to design Interreg so that the cash flow and is secured by the way how the milestones and targets are set. So basically, it is N+1, but it has to be taken into account with the architecture of the milestones and targets that every chapter, Interreg chapter, will have. Pre-financing is also very similar to what we know from today. It's a bit less, but here again it has to be seen in the context of the architecture of each chapter. Maybe here I should because I'm mentioning chapters. There is a change of terminology. In order to be aligned with the terminology of the national regional partnership plans, where we speak about chapters, in the Interreg plan, we will also speak about Interreg chapters. the way how these Interreg chapters should be understood is that it is a summary of an Interreg program, basically. The chapter should be shorter. It should really represent a summary, but at the same time, the whole ecosystem of Interreg program with all the underlying documentation, we still understand and we believe that all Interreg programs will have this ecosystem of program manuals, of the documents related to calls, etc. But during the programming, what we will ask you to do will be an Interreg chapter, quite a concise document, summarizing all the underlying features necessary for the programming. The national contribution, I've spoken about this, and again, the midterm review does not apply. We suggest that it does not apply to Interreg the same as it is now. So here I am with the Interreg plan or the implementing act. So as you can see, the architecture of the Interreg plan is two main parts, with the first part divided into two again. So the general part of the Interreg plan, the way it is proposed, is that it contains the list of all Interreg chapters with their budgets and geographies. This is what we already have today with two implementing acts which are setting up for all Interreg programs the geographical area that they cover, and the second implementing act covers the budget per each Interreg program. So this part is the number, the small I that you can see. And the second I is indeed are the provisions that could not make it or that are not proposed on the level of the ERDF, Cohesion Fund Regulation, because the idea is that this regulation only contains essential elements. All the implementing or the more technical details which are currently part of the Interreg regulation, we suggest that they are part of these provisions of the Interreg plan. Here I make a small parenthesis that we see clearly at the Council during the discussions with the Member States that there is a tendency the Member States ask to have these provisions put as much as possible back, basically, to the ERDF Cohesion Fund Regulation, and discussions are going on with the Commission at the moment. What kinds of provision should make it back to the ERDF regulation, and which ones should remain within the implementing act. And also, there is a number of provisions where the Commission does not intend to have covered by a legal act. So we were under the point 1, and here I'm going to the part 2, which is where the current Interreg programs find their place, and this is the Interreg chapters. So they should be part of this Interreg plan. Each and every Interreg chapter, you should understand it as each and every current Interreg program. Also a little parenthesis on the geography. We are not proposing changes to the geography of Interreg programs. We propose that all Interreg programs continue. At the same time, we are ready and listening to suggestions from the Member States, should there be. Of course, with the due justification, if there are any. So we are prepared to have a discussion about changes in the program's areas, or for example, for transnational programs, if there are any changes in terms of taking on board new countries, mainly for external programs, for example. Those are discussions that we are prepared to have. I have mentioned the SMORE, the Council Working Group. I suggest that I take you quickly through the main issues that have been discussed so far with the SMORE. The SMORE is the name for the Council Working Group. First of all, the allocations of the member states. There was a question or a discussion about the methodology. The methodology is part of the NRPP regulation as annex, but it was not clear exactly what regions were taken for this allocation. We also clarified that the strand C, so interregional cooperation, our proposal is that it has 750 million, so the 4 programs altogether. And we also clarified that we will be, this is part of the new proposal, that we are proposing again this possibility to shift 15% of the funding between the strands A, B, and D. The way how we interact with the Council is that we are having presentations to the Council, then the Member States are coming with their questions, we are replying to the questions and also issuing fiches, clarification fiches. So for those programs that are in contact with your national counterparts in the SMORE, and I strongly advise you to be in contact and to request information from your national delegates in the SMORE. They should also share with you those fiches that are clarifying some of the provisions. Then there was a question about the social target and the climate target. I said before that we aim for flexibility and that there will be no thematic concentration, yes, but at the same time there is a climate and social target for the funds overall, and those also apply to Interreg on the level of the Interreg plan. So there is no provision about how those targets, it's 42%, I believe, or 44% on the level of the NRPPs. So the idea is that this climate target applies to Interreg plan, but of course we expect that Interreg programs or Interreg chapters in the future again contribute to the climate targets as we do now, because Interreg is a very strong climate-oriented instrument. It's always been. It's a place-based instrument, and climate. I strongly believe that climate is something natural for Interreg to do. The same applies for the social target, again on the level of the plan. A little bit about the Interreg-specific objectives. As I said, the 2 Interreg-specific objectives that we have currently, we propose that they continue. We believe that they bring a lot of added value. The better Interreg governance, we have seen a high take-up by Interreg programs this time, for this program period. We strongly believe that there should be a very high uptake also for the future. We believe that programs need to invest in cooperation governance. For the safer and more secure Europe, this is clearly an objective which takes prominence in under the current geopolitical circumstances. You know very well that Interreg also has to take into account the political priorities and the situation that we are currently facing. Safety and security takes a high prominence and relevance for all territories. So we do not expect really that Interreg would invest directly in defense, but we do believe that Interreg is concerned by security issues and safety issues. and the more so for the programs that include regions bordering Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine. For those, the Commission proposed a specific objective, which is related to their resilience. I will speak, and this is what is covered under the new slide. We would like to have these programs to contribute to the resilience in the very broad sense of the term, because they are facing multiple challenges, and Interreg should contribute to address these challenges. There were several or many questions from many member states about the eligibility rules. But given that we are shifting from the system where the programs received payments based on costs, the programs will not be paid based on the costs incurred. They will be paid based on the fulfillment of milestones and targets. So therefore, for the moment, the Commission is not proposing to continue to put eligibility rules in the legal acts. The discussions are ongoing because member states see this as an important point. So, and we definitely are in favor of the programs continuing to use simplified cost options, continuing to use all the tools that are there currently to simplify the implementation. But at the same time, we as a Commission, what we are proposing to regulate are the payments and the flows and the implementation that goes from the Commission to the managing authorities. So for what happens from the managing authorities to the beneficiaries, that is not regulated. So we are not prescribing if, for example, the relations between the joint secretariats or the managing authorities, the contracts with the beneficiaries should be performance-based or costs-based. This is something on which we propose that there is a flexibility. As I said, Interreg will continue to involve and integrate non-EU countries the same way that it is now. We are very proud that Interreg programs are helping and contributing enlargement candidate countries on their enlargement path. We think that they do it extremely well, and that is something which absolutely needs to be safeguarded. We are having discussions, and we count on having the Global Europe external funding also again added to the external programs to allow the participation of the partner countries. We also count on the future participation of the third countries that are not receiving the external EU funding, such as Norway, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, provided that, of course, they come up with their own funding to fund their participation in the programs. As I said, we count and we will ask you again to respect the partnership principle, which is stipulated by the Code of Conduct on Partnership. This is not changing. Also, the chapters should cover and should reply to the elements how the partnership principle was respected during the programming. This is again something that you already know. We also count that partners are involved in the implementation of the chapters, not only during the programming. So, what is it that this was on the screen? You can see the list of elements that we originally proposed to be covered by these general provisions of the implementing act. As I said, there are already discussions. Some of these elements already are proposed for the draft ERDF Cohesion Fund regulation. The discussion continues. But those are the provisions, for example, on the selection of operations or the functioning of the monitoring committee. This is already proposed in the draft ERDF regulation text. Another discussion points with the SMORE, again, what I said is the monitoring committee, also the management verifications. Those are questions that are being discussed with the SMORE. Also the global Europe instrument pre-financing. I think now the exciting part of the future performance framework. This is the key novelty. We understand that this is something which raises the most questions for the time being with the Interreg programs. So the way how it is conceived. Every Interreg chapter should have an intervention strategy which is based on the analysis of the territorial needs, gaps and potentials. This is again something that is already here, that you already have with the Interreg programs today. What is different is that the chapters are asked to design measures, so not priorities but measures, and each measure should and has to have identified milestones and targets. Milestones are steps that you need to fulfill a certain target, and targets can be intermediate targets and final targets. And there should be an indicative timeline by when a chapter promises to deliver on the milestones and on targets. This is an important element. So basically, it's sort of an action plan with milestones and targets in time of the implementation of each chapter. And then what should be related to it is the costing. So as I said, we are not going, the flows of money from the Commission to the programs will not be based on the costs incurred by the beneficiaries, but it will be based on agreed amounts of funding ex ante, and this is what we call the payout values or the costing of each milestone and target. So the system changes, and it's ex ante at the beginning of the programming, where the chapters, where managing authorities will be asked to define how much it costs to deliver on a certain milestone and on a certain target. So I think that the next slide basically summarizes of what I have already said. The Commission is working on a guidance on costing as well for each and every member state for different types of expenditure. What we are also happy and grateful is that Interreg program is working on, there is a performance-based group, and they are also working on the practical ways how Interreg programs can implement performance-based approach. The Commission proposed that audit authorities check ex ante the costing methodology. This is being heavily discussed. And what is the role of the performance regulation in this architecture? Well, the performance regulation predefines intervention codes to which each and every measure will have to contribute, and it also prescribes the output indicators and correlating result indicators. The payment or the payment system will be based on the output indicators, not result indicators, and the output indicators will be used to define a final target or milestone. And in case of a basically the way how it should function is that each Interreg chapter, once it has fulfilled a certain milestone or target, it puts it into a payment claim to the Commission, and the Commission pays on the basis of the fulfilled targets and milestones. Then a couple of words about the programming. I think that I skipped one slide. Yeah, thank you. Basically, we asked Interreg chapters to start the programs, to start programming. We expect that Interreg programs start their programming this year. We believe that you should start by what you have been doing all the time, meaning setting your priorities, doing the territorial analysis, the analysis of the needs of your territories. For the cross-border cooperation, and we have published last week border profiles that are also examining and analyzing each and every cooperation area. So you can take this as a basis and complement with other analytical material. And then within your setting, within your programming groups, start having discussions about what is it that you want to achieve in your program area. You may say that there are many unknown elements for the moment. It's true, the discussions about the legal framework are ongoing, and obviously you are a bit operating under the moving sands, but this is the case in each and every programming period. So basically, the idea is that you follow the involvement and the discussions with the legal framework, and you adapt to the situation of the changes and based on the underlying discussions. But the main building blocks, meaning your territory, the needs and the potentials, this is something which you can already work on, because this is a given thing. And also, since 2019, when you were programming the last time, things changed. The priorities changed. We are living in a different world that we used to live in 2019. And this also you have to reflect when you think about what is it that your future Interreg should do. So as I said, the Commission intends to enter into the debate. We prepared the profiles. There will be also transnational profiles. Those are done by ESPON program. And we also intend to issue some sort of our input or our ideas of what it is that you should be doing as well. We provisionally call it orientation papers. It may have a different name. And the idea is that we base on the evidence collected and also on our priorities that we have for cross-border cooperation. We would very much like to build on the knowledge that we have inside of our beyond funding policy evidence that we have. We would like you very much to build, for example, on the B solutions cases. We would very much like that cross-border cooperation programs work on border obstacles inside of the better governance policy objective. So all of those inputs will be part of our input to you, and it will be a start of a discussion. It will not be a binding. We will not issue anything which will be regulatory or binding, but it will be something which we consider useful to start a dialogue, a more formal dialogue with you. Yeah, I think indeed all these I have given you all these recommendations how to follow, and of course, last but not least, do be in contact with your desk officer from the Commission in order to get more insights or to discuss indeed how the future Interreg should look like, because it is clear that we are on the same boat, and our common goal is to prepare good, viable, ambitious, and at the same time Interreg chapters that will deliver of what we believe is the core of Interreg. So the joint solutions to joint challenges. Thank you very much.